Today we have Dr. Allen Unruh, and he is a chiropractor from Sioux Falls, South Dakota, has been since 1970. He's the author of several books as well. If the government doesn't get off our backs, the whole country will need a chiropractor. The First Clean Sex Quote and Joke Book, Laughter is the Best Medicine, How to Overcome Adversity, and a new book published by WorldNet Daily coming out in about 6 weeks titled The Politically Incorrect Book of Humor. And it's got 2,500 one-liners, all categorized on almost every political subject. And the book can be ordered on his personal website, AllenUnruh.com. And since we have Valentine's Day coming up this weekend, we're going to be talking today about how to be romantic. Because nobody would be alive if there was no romance, because without romance, how would we have gotten our start, right? So first of all, Dr. Unruh, how are you?
Very good. It's good to be here.
Well, we're glad to have you here. It's always fun to catch up when we get a chance to do this. Now, how long has the study of romance been a problem, Dr. Unruh?
Well, it's been a problem since the beginning of time. I mean, Eve said to Adam, "Do you love me?" He said, "Who else?" Adam said to Eve, "Just remember there's more ribs where you came from." She put on a leaf and said, "Do I look fat in this?" He said, "Listen, I'll wear the plants in this family." He said, "You've done it again, Eve. You put my shorts in the salad." He took his kids to the entrance of the Garden of Eden and said, "There's where your ma ate us out of house and home." But if it wasn't for Adam's rib, we'd never have women's lib. So it's been a problem since biblical times. Even Solomon said to his 10,000 wives and concubines, "Which one of you doesn't have a headache?" I mean, it's always been a problem.
So now, are intelligent people more romantic, or is this problem universal?
Well, it's been a problem even for the wisest people have been baffled by this subject. Socrates said, if you marry a good wife, you'll live a good life. If you marry a bad one, you'll become a philosopher. Someone asked Abe Lincoln, is it good to get married? He said, either way, you'll repent. See? Patrick Henry's wife said, I know how you feel about liberty, but this is your third night out this week. I mean, it's just always been a problem. But we need our wives. Webster wrote the dictionary because of his wife. Everything he says, she said, what's that supposed to mean? And Francis Scott Key, after he wrote the Star-Spangled Banner, his wife said, Francis, why don't you try writing a song people can sing sitting down? I mean, Edison, after 10,000 experiments, finally lit up the light bulb, and he ran upstairs, and his wife said, Tommy, why don't you shut off that dang light and come to bed? I mean, Alexander Graham's Bell wife said, what do you mean my 3 minutes are up? Lady Astor said to Winston Churchill, you miserable drunken bum, if I were your wife, I'd poison your tea. And he said, if I was your husband, I'd drink it. See? The last words of Oscar Wilde's wife were, either this wallpaper goes or I do. I mean, even Freud said, of all the things I've learned, I haven't discovered what does a woman want. See, I had a Texan in last week. He said, my wife made a millionaire out of me. I said, what were you before? He said, I'm all a millionaire. Like that old millionaire put a billboard out that said, old millionaire wants young woman. Well, the next day he found someone who wanted an older guy with a big heart, but she said an enlarged heart would be even better. See? One guy said, I was a fool when I married you. His wife said, I suppose you were, but I was so infatuated I didn't notice it at the time. See? I read about a guy who was a world-famous sculptor, and he had no arms. Huh. You know how he did it?
No.
He held a chisel in his mouth while his wife beat him back in the head with a mallet. One of the happiest couples I ever met. He was deaf and she's blind, So
anyway. There you go. It's the way it works sometimes. Now, is being romantic mainly a problem with men, or is this a universal thing too?
Well, how many husbands to take to screw in a light bulb? None. They usually procrastinate till you do it yourself, One woman said, some people think my husband's a pain in the neck, but I have a much lower opinion of him. See? One guy, after 6 hours of football, he could hardly get out of the couch. His wife said, is that what they call a tight end? See? Why don't men wash clothes? They don't have a remote. See?
There you go.
You heard about a guy who was in a coma, I saw, for over a year. Finally, someone put a remote in his hand, and he came to right away. See? But a man is a success if he has a wife to tell him what to do and he has a secretary to do it, see. Man's life is incomplete till he's married, then he's finished. Yeah. Marriage is a wonderful institution, but who wants to live in an institution? There's only 2 times in life when you're pronounced. When you're pronounced husband and wife, and when you're pronounced dead.
That's true.
Too many women get all excited about nothing and then they marry him, see. The only time a woman succeeds in changing a man is when he's a baby.
Oh, yeah.
One guy yelled out comments like, how long till you're ready? Throw out a date. Anyway. But research has revealed there's more men in mental hospitals than women. Now, this vindicates us guys about who's driving who crazy, see. But some guys don't even know what their wife's favorite flower is. I asked a guy that the other day, and he said, I think it's Pillsbury. So you just don't know. He said, everything I ever wanted is tall. He's everything I ever wanted. He's tall, dark, handsome, charming, and intelligent. And her girlfriend said, yes, but can he cook? See? One woman complained. She said, my husband snores. And her friend said, a lot of men snore. She said, yes, but he's a ventriloquist and snores on both sides of me at once. I didn't know it was going to be this bad. See? One guy said to his wife, you'd have been a good congresswoman. You're always introducing new bills in the House. See? And anyway, at least I can rest easy knowing that if anything happens to my wife, she'll be left comfortable. She gets the recliner. See?
Nice.
But anyway. And never compare your wife's cooking to your mother's. If your wife says, I love you, never say ditto.
Yeah.
No wonder my wife lost her mind. She's been giving me a piece of it every day for 20 years, he said to one guy. I asked my wife, will you still love me when I'm old, fat, and ugly? She said, I still do, don't I? But if a man had horse sense, his wife wouldn't be a nag. See, if a guy was a self-starter, his wife wouldn't have to be a crank. See, no man. Show me a man with both feet on the ground. I'll show you a man who can't get his pants on. But anyway, no man stands so tall as when he's got his zipper stuck. But
Very true.
Why can't women put the toilet seat back up? See, I don't know. I don't know why that is wrong. If a man is bald in front, he's a thinker. If he's bald in back, it means he's sexy. If he's bald both places, he just thinks he's sexy. I'll tell you how much respect I get. Rodney Dangerfield wouldn't take places with me. Did you hear about the first woman to walk to the South Pole?
No.
It was because her husband's car broke down when he refused to ask for directions. See, men marry later and die earlier. However, studies have shown that married men live longer than single men.
No.
So if you want to live a long life and a slow death, get married. The way to a man is to make him a little jealous. The way to lose him is to make him a little more jealous. Zsa Zsa Gabor said, I've never hated a man enough to give his diamonds back. See? One woman reading the obituary, she said, he finally died. Her husband said, who? She said, Charlie Schwartz. He said, he said he'd die if I didn't marry him. It finally took him 50 years, If God wanted the men to be romantic, he would have never invented golf, one guy said.
There you go.
See?
That's true.
I bought my wife a rock for our anniversary, a pet rock, But anyway, she took me to the tunnel of love, made me wait outside. One guy said, when I was a kid, a guy said, I knew I loved her when I saw the reflection of the moonlight in her father's shotgun. A bachelor thinks he has the world on a string, so why tie the knot?
Yeah, there you go.
Some men are beasts. It's a good thing women are animal lovers. He fell so hard for her, he even lost his balance at the bank. So, a man is a success if he can make more money than his wife can spend.
Hey,
and a woman
go.
is a success if she can find such a guy.
There you go.
Keeping a secret from my wife is like trying to sneak the sunrise past a rooster. Anyway, one guy went to a doctor for a vasectomy, and he said, have you discussed this with your family? He said, yes, I have, and the kids won 13-2, but anyway.
13-2.
Yeah. Why do men raise their eyebrows when they drink coffee? Are they afraid they're going to get them wet? There was a time I sent my picture to the Lonely Hearts Club, and they sent it back and said, we're not that lonely.
So we've talked a lot about romance, but let's talk a little bit about divorce. Do you have any advice or comments on that subject?
Well, one guy said I got married by a judge, but I should have had a jury, I had a guy, 92, he went on a date with an 89-year-old the other day, and her girlfriend called her the next day and said, Mabel, how did it go? She said, well, I had to slap him 3 times. She said, did he get fresh? He said, no, I thought he was dead. And one couple, 92, she was 89, they're filing for divorce. The judge said, why? After 70 years, do you want a divorce? He said, well, we wanted to wait till all the kids died. And Your Honor, enough's enough. But research has shown 2 out of 3 mattresses outlast a marriage. Now, either marriages are getting worse or mattresses are getting better. One guy wrote to Billy Graham, said, "Are you married to the same woman in heaven? I may be able to tolerate her on earth, but for eternity, I can't stand the thought of it." One couple in divorce court, a judge said, "Do you have anything in common?" She said, "Yes, he can't stand me and I can't stand him." He said, "My wife won't give me the time of day, especially at night." One guy said, "Honey, to prove my love for you, I'm going to swim the widest river, climb the highest mountain, cross the widest desert." She divorced him because he was never home. But too often there's not much time between the I do's and the IDO's anyway. Marriage is a long feast with the dessert first. See? Mm-hmm. You can't make a silk purse out of a sow's ear, but many a woman has got a mink coat out of an old goat. See? But love is the most talked about, written about, read about, and sung about subject in the entire world. The paradox is the least understood.
It is.
One woman, an exotic planner. She planned everything. She married one guy who was a millionaire. Then the second husband was a movie star. The third one was a pastor. And her fourth husband was an undertaker. One for the money, two for the show, three to get ready, and four to go. You know? My grandmother buried three husbands. Two of them were just napping. But anyway, a preacher said once, "Sister Green, I prayed for you for 3 hours last night." She said, "You didn't need to do that, call Parson. If you'd have called it, I'd been there in 15 minutes.
So now let's talk about communication. That's really important. But how important is communication in a relationship?
Well, it's how you say things that make all the difference. You should tell your wife she looks like a fresh breath of spring, not the end of a cold, hard winter. See? A woman said to Yogi Berra once, "You're looking pretty cool today." He said, "You don't look so hot yourself." See, same thing, one with finesse. I told my son he should tell his girlfriend, "When I look at you, time stands still, not you got a face that can stop a clock." See? If your wife burns the toast, just say, "Well done, my dear, well done."
Yeah, well done toast.
Say it, see? When I was dating my wife, she asked me if I danced, and I got all upset. A guy said, "Well, why did you get upset?" I said, "Well, we were dancing when she asked me, you know." I said, "What do you call these moves?"
Yeah.
We were at the airport recently, and a guy was passionately kissing a girl, and my wife said, "Why don't you do that?" I said, "Honey, I don't even know the woman." You know, but love is confusing. Sometimes when you tell your wife she looks great, first thing she does is turn out the lights. I mean, it's just love is funny. I was reading about a guy who never kissed his wife in 20 years, but he shot the guy who did. I mean, it's just... One guy went to the military service and wrote his girlfriend every day for a whole year. And after a year, she married the postman. I mean, sometimes you just can't win. Never let a guy forget his faults. He may seem to resent your nagging, but deep down, he'll appreciate your concern. See? Unromantics believe that communication is for people who can't handle silence. See?
Yeah.
But love without a sense of humor is life without fresh air to breathe. One good thing about engagement rings, it proves love isn't blind, at least not stone blind. Remember, one woman said to her husband, "You remember you used to nibble on my ear?" And he got up from the table. "Where are you going?" He said, "To get my teeth." See? My biggest frustration is when my wife goes right on talking when I'm trying to interrupt. I mean, you just can't win. She said I was a model husband. So I looked up the word model, and it said a small imitation of the real thing, you know. If a woman runs her fingers through your hair, watch out. She may be after your scalp. You know?
That could be, definitely. Now, that's a little bit about relationships there, but are there certain principles to follow to make sure you have a good relationship?
Well, number one, absolutely. Never argue with your wife if she's tired or rested. I've learned that. There's two theories on how to argue with a woman, and neither of them work. If at first you don't succeed, do it the way your wife told you to. See,
hey, there you go.
A woman's intuition is often more sound than a man's reason. We never go to bed angry. Of course, we haven't slept in weeks. But love is the triumph of the imagination over intelligence. See, women are meant to be loved, not understood. See,
there you go. That's true.
Men should learn to praise your wife, even if at first it frightens her. See? and never contradict your wife. It's your word against thousands of hers.
So now, speaking of wives, let's talk about mother-in-laws. We've got Dr. Unruh in the studio here. He's an author of many books. He's got a bunch of funny joke books, but right now we're talking about romance because we've got Valentine's this weekend. So let's talk about mother-in-laws. Do you have any advice regarding mother-in-laws?
Well, thank God it only takes two to make a happy marriage, a woman and her mother, But anyway, happiness is your mother-in-law being allergic to something in your house, see. A friend of mine said he went on a pleasure trip. I said, "Where'd you go?" He said, "I took my mother-in-law to the airport." See, did you hear about the cannibal that ate his mother-in-law? She still disagreed with him. I mean, it's just mixed emotions. Is your mother-in-law driving over a cliff in your new Mercedes?
Oh, yeah. So, Dr. Unruh, let's get down to brass tacks. You and your wife have been married for a long time. How many years have you guys been married now?
Well, I'm 38 years old, something like that.
Oh, wow. That's very, very cool. So, been married for a long time. How did you meet and fall in love, and what is your secret?
Well, when we met, I opened my wallet, there she was. I was in a deposit line, she was in a withdrawal line. It's been that way ever since. Of course, she said she was on vacation. I was the last resort. See, but when I carried her over the threshold, first thing she did, put her foot down. She said, well, she wasn't a feminist, but I haven't operated the controls on the mattress since the honeymoon. See, we promised to grow old together, but didn't realize it was going to be the first year, We have an agreement. I don't try to run her life, and I don't try to run mine, and it's worked out pretty well.
We have that same agreement.
She thinks I can do anything she sets her mind to, see. We have a deal. If I don't like the way she does things, I can do it myself. See. I can't stand to see her shoveling. I have to pull down the shades. But our marriage is based on compromise. When I admit I'm wrong, she forgives me.
That's a good compromise.
The other day, she said, "You loved beans on Monday. You loved them on Tuesday and on Wednesday, and now all of a sudden you don't like beans." I mean, but we kid her at each other a lot. But actually, there's nothing I wouldn't do for her, and there's nothing she wouldn't do for me. And that's the way it's been. We've done nothing for each other for years. Our secret is we go out twice a week. I go Monday, Thursday. She goes Tuesday, Friday. See, I asked her what she wanted for our anniversary. She said she wouldn't mind lunch on the Riviera, so I gave her a sandwich on a Buick. She wanted to see the world, so I bought her an atlas. But you got to be thinking. She gave me some Old Spouse aftershave, so I gave her some Oil of Old Lady. I gave her a mood ring once. I found out they really work. When they turn green, a guy gets a red mark on his forehead. I gave her a rowing machine. She couldn't fit it in the tub. I gave her a fake fur once. She fed me a rubber chicken for supper. When we first got married, she said she wanted a silver fox, so I gave her a silver fox. Then she wanted a mink, so I gave her a mink. Then she wanted a leopard, so I gave her a leopard. Our yard was full of animals. It was so cold the other night, she slept with her fur coat on. I kept dreaming of coyotes. Anyway, my wife said she knows I love her because I still have that same look at her as when I look in the refrigerator. So
yeah, that's a good sign.
I loved her terribly, but she married me anyway. One guy bought a prize bull, and the next day his neighbor saw him with a plow behind the bull. He said, "What are you doing?" He said, "You spent $10,000 on that bull." He said, "Well, the first lesson I want to teach this bull is life's not all romance." See? She said I shouldn't tell any jokes that are on shaky ice anyway, but she watches what I do with a fine-tooth comb.
Yeah.
I'm trying to practice being chalant. She said I've just been too nonchalant, so I'm trying to practice chalant. But one guy said marriage is not a word, it's a sentence.
Yeah, well, that's...
Steve Martin said, "I like a woman with a good head on her shoulders. I hate necks." Did you hear that news story the other day? They found a jawbone that was 6,000 years old.
I did not.
They said it was from a woman because it was still moving. Anyway, studies show that the weaker sex is actually the stronger sex because the weakness of the stronger sex is the weaker sex.
Well, see, that's a lot to think about.
That's got enough double talk to be a government bulletin.
There it is, definitely. Again, we've got Dr. Unruh in the studio with us here. We've got Valentine's Day coming up this weekend, so we thought it'd be fun to have a little romance humor. Now, you're married to a wonderful woman like I am, and my wife is very tidy. I call her Tidy Heidi, and I'm told that your wife is very neat and organized as well.
Oh, is she? I mean, she puts newspaper under the cuckoo clock. I mean, she washes the windows on envelopes. I mean, when the saints come marching in, they better wipe their feet. I mean, if I get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, when I come back, the bed is made. I mean, it's just, of course, it could be worse. One guy said his wife is so sloppy that Good Housekeeping canceled her subscription.
So, Dr. Unruh, what are some of the unique characteristics that define how women are different than men when it comes to a relationship?
Well, women speak 60,000 words a day. Men speak half that amount. And my wife said, that's because we have to repeat everything.
Did you say what?
She speaks 140 words a minute, with Gus up to 500. She got stopped by the cops the other day. She was on her cell phone talking too fast. I mean, if I ever lay on the couch, that immediately spurs my wife's brain into thinking of things I need to be doing. Take out the garbage, clean the garage, whatever. She gave me some leisure slacks and loafers and now complains because I act the way I'm dressed. I mean, just thank God she's allergic to jewelry and fur coats. I walked in a jewelry store the other day. I said, I know diamonds are forever, but you have everything that lasts just a few months. And shopping. I mean, my wife, her nickname is Teddy Roosevelt. Everywhere she goes, she says, charge! She'll buy anything marked down. Last week she bought an escalator. I mean, it's unbelievable. Her motto is, when the going gets tough, the tough goes shopping, you see. Stores know her by her numbers. I bought her a book once. What does a woman want? All the pages were empty, see. I bought her a music box once that would sing happy birthday. I thought they were all the same, but when she opened it, it said, the old gray mare, she ain't what she used to be. One guy died, and his pastor said to his wife, I'm so sorry, Charlie, about Charlie, Martha. What were his last words? She said, you don't fool me one bit with that shotgun, Martha. You can hit the broadside of a barn. See, that was the last thing he said. One woman said, I don't really mind PMS. It's the only time in a month I can be myself, so you just don't know. And another guy said, I'm glad my wife joined Women's Lib. Now she hates all men, not just me. But we'll never win the war on women, because half the country is sleeping with the enemy. I mean, it just doesn't work. Gloria Steinem once said, some of us women are becoming the men we wanted to marry, One woman had false eyelashes, facelift, a wig, and said she was looking for a real man. I mean, everything was fake on her, but one woman read the book Fascinating Womanhood, so she decided to spice up her marriage a little. And so when her husband came home from work, she met him at the door dressed in nothing but saran wrap.
Oh, wow.
He said, just what I expected, leftovers again. I mean, you just do everything right and still lose, One guy decided to spice up his marriage. He bought his wife 24 roses. But when she saw him, she had a heart attack and died. Then, of course, he used the flowers for the funeral. But anyway, whether a man ends up with a nest egg or a goose egg depends on the chick he marries.
Yeah, there you go.
A man may be a fool and not know it, but not if he's married, see. My wife and I can't decide how to spend our free time. I like the feel of the real. She likes the call of the mall. I mean, one woman called the fire department and said, there's a man trying to break into my apartment. They said, you don't want us, you want the police. She said, no, I want you. I live on the second floor, and he needs a ladder, A woman who henpecks her husband soon finds he's listening to some other chick, see. Anyway, a smart woman can keep a man at arm's length without losing her grip on him, see. Some principles.
Definitely.
One guy said, honey, I'll go through hell for you. She's making sure he keeps his promise. My wife went to New Orleans and made what is known as the Louisiana Purchase. She sent me to the drugstore the other day to buy her some pantyhose, and the clerk said, Sheer? I said, no, she's at home. But anyway, one old maid died, and she requested no pallbearers. She said, the idiots never took me out when I was alive. I'll be darned if they'll do it now. One guy said, the only exercise my wife gets is when she runs up bills and jumps to a conclusion and pushes her luck.
Again, we've got Dr. Unruh in the studio here. Now, I understand you've done some of your own research on unromantic gifts that women have told you their husbands have given them. What are some of the things that guys shouldn't be doing?
Well, I've asked the ladies, what's the most unromantic gift that your husband has ever given you? One woman said he gave her steel-belted radials.
Oh.
I gave my wife the DVD Buns of Steel. That didn't go over. Another guy gave his wife mud flaps with her initials engraved on it. I thought that was really unique.
That's interesting.
Yeah, salad shooters. I gave my wife a tool set once, and so she bought me a brand new washer and dryer. I mean, it's just one farmer gave his wife 6 pigs, the gift that keeps on giving. So
there you go.
Unique.
Yeah.
But the second runner-up was a guy who gave his wife a brand new spanking manure spreader. I mean, that was one of the most unromantic gifts.
That's pretty unromantic.
But number one. The first prize goes to the guy who bought his wife a cemetery plot.
Oh,
something
wow.
she'd always use.
There you go.
The next year he didn't get her nothing. She said, "How come you didn't give me anything?" He said, "You didn't use it. I gave it last year." As a general rule, if you have to plug it in, it might not be romantic, But
Okay.
the most unromantic wedding in history was in 1982 when 4,000 Moonies got married in a mass wedding ceremony.
Oh, wow.
That wouldn't be the most romantic.
No.
They say jewelry is romantic. Not so, according to Robert Snodgrass of St. Louis. He bought his wife a long gold chain, and she wore it to bed and strangled herself to death.
Oh, no.
See, one guy walked in, he says, "I want to get some poison perfume. How much is it?" She said, $175. "Ooh," he said, "that's way too much." He said, "Well, we got the half-size bottle for $100. "Ooh," he said, "that's too much, too." "Well, we got Brand X here for $39. "Ooh," he said, "that's still quite a bit. You have anything that's really cheap?" She said, "I got just the thing," and she opened her drawer and she pulled out a mirror and showed it to him. Anyways, I gave my wife a 300-piece dinnerware set once. It was actually a 24-piece set, but I fell down the stairs bringing it to her.
So now, does aging affect romance and relationships?
Well, it does. I had a man should they should marry a man your own age. As your beauty fades, so will his eyesight. See? Love at first sight never happens in the morning for some reason.
Yeah, that's true.
I bought my wife some small slacks and told her to sit tight. But my grandmother lived to be 103. She could have got married 3 times, but they all died before the wedding. See, I had an aunt waited so long for her ship to come in that her pier collapsed. See. One couple was sitting in rocket chairs on the front porch, and he said they were married 70 years. He said, "Honey, our marriage has stood the test of time. Our relationship is tried and true." She said, "What?" He said, "Tried and true." She said, "What?" He said, "Tried and true, tried and true." She said, "I'm getting tired of you, too." See, so you got to communicate. I'm at the age, if you can't eat it or wear it, why have it? See, you're only young once, but you can be immature forever. See,
hey, there you go.
Some older people still let their hair down, others take them off. See, it's rough growing old all by myself. My wife hasn't had a birthday in 7 years,
Oh, yeah.
But I've discovered the cure for wrinkles.
What's that?
Preparation H.
Oh.
The only side effect is when you get tired, your face wants to sit down. See, when I found out what facelifts cost, I decided to let the whole thing drop. See, but Father Time is starting to catch up with Mother Nature. I mean, my favorite song is Taps. It's just, like the 2 old maids in a mental hospital. One said, "When I get out of here, I'm going to get me a man and a bottle and hit every bar in town." And the other woman said, "You're talking sense now, Mabel. You're not going to be in here very long." But anyway, I love prunes. It's the only thing with more wrinkles. See, but anyway, I was born in the days of inhibition. I'm at the age where I tell the barber, "Trim a little around the nostrils." I wear my heart on my sleeve and my gravy on my tie. But anyway, middle age, you forget to zip up. Old age, you forget to zip down. My doctor said, "The good news is you're young at heart. The bad news is your liver's shot." But anyway, an old friend of mine went on a trip. He said, "I wish you were here. Where am I?"
So when you have kids, does that typically enhance a relationship?
Well, we had 5 kids. They're all girls but 3.
Okay.
We would have had more, but my wife hates kids. They used to follow her like a row of ducks in the grocery store. And they'd say, "Are all them kids yours, or is this a picnic?" She said, "They're all mine, and believe me, it's no picnic." But without kids, you would be tempted to retire prematurely, see. They say a baby's born to every 5th person who goes to the hospital. So if you've been there 4 times, watch out. Actually, a woman has a baby every 20 seconds in this country.
Wow.
We've got to find this woman and stop her. See? Our kids think the fifth commandment is to humor thy father and mother.
Yes.
One day our youngest was in the car with my wife, and he says, Mom, where are all the dumb idiots? She said, they're at home, dear. They only come out when your father drives. But anyway, people say, how far should you space your kids? I said, at least 5 miles, But anyway, one kid... our kid was in a play, and he played the part of a husband who was married 25 years. I said, well, maybe next year you get a speaking part.
Now, I understand you've also written some songs about relationships.
Well, yes. I started out as a street singer and moved on to bigger things like the interstate, But my 2 most popular requests are Stop That Racket and Give Me a Break, I gave my first concert at 7, or was it 7:30? I can't remember for sure. But I wrote, I've got cobwebs in my mailbox since I never hear from you, but it didn't go over. And the flip side was I knew the honeymoon was over when I tasted cold cream and the mashed potatoes. That didn't go over either. So then I wrote, I'm glad I made you cry, baby, because your face is cleaner now. And how can I miss you when you never leave? Those didn't go over. And I can't sleep on my pillow ever since you sat on it last night, And I'm so lonesome when you're gone, it's almost like having you here. But anyway.
We've had Dr. Unruh with us here. We've got Valentine's Day sneaking right up, so we wanted to chat about some fun romantic things. And I think it's important to have some humor in there as well, because that humor and romance go hand in hand. And we've got Dr. Unruh here. Now, it's been very insightful. Do you have any closing comments before I let you go?
Well, seriously, folks, we joke about relationships and the institution of marriage, but facts are current divorce rate's 52%. 3,000 marriages break up every day, and the second marriage, the divorce rate's 67%. Why is it in times of unprecedented affluence, there's more divorce than there was in hard times like the Great Depression? There's no force more powerful than love. Man's greatest gift is his power of love. His greatest downfall is his love of power. Affection is the cousin of romance. How much affection do we give? We need to recreate our relationship every day, or you're stuck with that old, inadequate, boring time together. The number one need for women is affection, comfort, and security. Some men say, I'm not the affectionate type. I told her I loved her 26 years ago. If it ever changes, I'll let her in on it. See? But today we hear a lot about unconditional love, but I submit that marriage is very conditional. If you don't meet any of her needs and she doesn't meet any of yours, and you want to meet each other halfway instead of 100-100, you may be technically married, but you're not knowing the happiness and fulfillment that marriage is designed to give. There's a newspaper in North Dakota that showed a picture of a couple. They were married, and they lived in separate houses right beside each other. They said, we're doing everything we can to keep our marriage together. See? But anyway, romantic love is the fuel that powers the female engine. People go to 4 to 8 years of college to learn a profession. We learn a trade. And then we spend a lot of time, money, energy, and effort to learn and go to seminars afterwards and sales meetings, management meetings, motivation meetings, keep the excitement, the enthusiasm, and everything in our businesses. Yeah. But what do we do in our relationships? See, really not too much. And we don't take a course on how to have an investment in a relationship. We don't invest too much. So too often marriage becomes just a routine humdrum, come home from work and sit on the couch and read the paper. What's for supper, and we don't take the time to invest in relationships when actually what good does it do to become a success if you sacrifice your wife and kids in the process? Yeah. If you're always complaining. So you should give at least 3 doses of affection every day. Genesis 2:18 says it's not good for man to be alone. I will make him a helpmate, a partner, a lover, designed to link him emotionally and sexually. He invented the family, gave it his blessing, ordination. Too many people just depend on feelings which come and go, but love is much more than a feeling. It's a decision. It's a commitment. So my assignment to everybody listening is to lie, cheat, steal, and divorce.
Really? That seems bizarre.
Lie, cheat, steal, and divorce. You should lie in bed 1 to 2 mornings a week, a little longer, and be intimate together. You should cheat on your diet at least once a week and take your wife out for a romantic meal and share your week's ups and downs. Steal some time from your busy schedule, and every 3 months go on a 72-hour weekend with your spouse and share your dreams together. Divorce yourself from the areas of your life where you're majoring on the minors. What good does it do if you lose your wife and kids, no matter what else you accomplish? And don't forget those 3 words every woman wants to hear every day. Let's eat out.
There you go. Again, Dr. Allen Unruh in the studio. If you'd like to get a copy of one of the books, where can I go? Is it right on your website?
AllenUnruh.com.
All right, ALLENUNRUH.com. Dr. Unruh, thanks for stopping by.
Thank you.
And thank you for listening to The John and Heidi Show.